know some people that know some people. Any question? Okay. So social capital then is accumulated resources whose value flows to people as a result of their access to others. So the fact that I'm in this camp, and I'm pretty sure that they haven't chosen people randomly, probably they looked at people that had a certain amount of friends on Facebook and that had a certain amount of activity. Those people, then I know that whatever they post, that is the certain amount of people that is going to be exposed to their posting. A reputational capital is based on the shared belief, relationship, and action of those in the community, such that norm, behavior, and values held and shared by individuals ultimately support the community reputation. So again, this kind of thing will work well in Israel, because it was an Israeli camp. They do it all over the world. But I wouldn't care if these people have connection outside of Israel, because really the communication, the community that will appreciate what we're doing will be the one that share exactly the same thing, the same values that this community share. Hence, I have no intention as Co to post this to other communities, because obviously Co can take this and they can post it wherever they want. They only use their own network connections because it wouldn't matter to people who are outside of the community. And I assume you all understand that. Like, why would I care what a kid is doing somewhere if he's not my friend, right? I only care because he's in my community.
But it's not necessarily caring what the kid's doing, it's just seeing that everyone's related to code.
No, yes, but I mean, if that that would have been distributed not to them, to their environment, but let's say to us. Why would you want to watch what some teenager is doing in Israel with code? It has no interest to me because I don't know them. It's really about the fact that they're part of my community, because I want to know why they're there, how can I get there, and maybe because also I care that they're having fun because they're part of my community. So that's what we mean by reputational capital. Okay, now social media and community, how does it work online then? So groups obviously don't just exist offline, they exist in the form of social community. So each one of you have some of these connections, okay? So you have Google, Google Chrome, Gmail. When you log in, you are automatically connected to the world of networking with Google. You might have a Facebook account, you might have a Twitter account, you might have a LinkedIn account, maybe those also are connected, I don't know. You might have all of these other stuff that are here, YouTube account that's yours, I'm not even sure what some of these stuff are. You have new stuff today that you can add to those buttons that we don't see here. All of these are your social community. So when let's say Google, is tracking you, Google has this map of you. And they know how many arrows you have, and they know also how much activity, you see those, how much you broadcast, and how much you receive broadcasting from those sites. If you are very active, and you're not only just receiving information, but you're sending information, and that information is then sent out, you are considered an influencer, you are considered an opinion leader. If you're a person who just have this, but you post once every blue moon, or all you do is read others, but you never post of yourself, you have very low social value in advertising, okay? So, what are the things that we can look at when we're looking at these ties? So we're looking at core ties, significant ties, and weak ties. So core ties are those people with whom we have very close relationships. So when I go here, maybe I can see that the people I always check their Facebook page are, let's say, my brother and my sister, okay? Or a certain amount of friends. So these are the core ties. Those are people that probably I have influence on them and they have influence on me. Significant ties are those individuals with somewhat close connection, but less so than core ties. So those will be the people that are what we call a second tier or third tier friends. And then weak ties will be those individuals with whom your relationship is based on superficial experiences or very few connections. So for example, I can actually see if the people that I speak on Facebook, I also send email to. If I send email to, I'm more close to them than if I only connect to them versus Facebook. I can see whether I share their post or I just read their post. I can see if I make comments on their post or not. Okay? All these will help me determine, the Google or the data analysis company, how close you are to all of these people. The closer you are, the more influential you'll be. The weaker you are, we don't really assume that they're part of your network, okay? So, let's talk a little bit then about how the information then goes. I mean, these are just terms that are used in social media, and we sort of want to know them. One is what we call flows. So when we talk about what is the flow of the information online, it's any kind of exchange of resource information or influence between members in the network. So in that sense, I can see flow going between a few people in your network, between all of your network, and so forth. The social object theory is social networks will be more powerful communities if there's a way to activate the relationship between them. For example, I belong to the social network of Yeshiva University. However, how strong is that network for me, and really how much flow of information happens within that community. So here I assume that the more information flowing between the nodes, the more I influence that node, these nodes, and these nodes are influencing me. Okay? So yes, a university in general has huge network connection because all of the students are there, maybe alumni, professors, employees, but how much do they really communicate with each other? That is the bottom line. And for example, if you take Columbia and NYU, their alumni network is very, very strong. Why is it strong? Because they send a lot of flow, a lot of information to their alumni, and they try to motivate the alumni to respond back, and hence make that connection stronger. However, if you do not maintain it, and you do not connect with your alumni, yes, maybe you know their email, yes, maybe they see a posting on LinkedIn once in a while, but it doesn't really consider to be a community. And object sociability is the extent an object can be shared in social media. Okay, so sometimes I'll share stuff, sometimes I won't. So for example, I have a Facebook page, I will not share my professional stuff on my Facebook page because I don't think my friends care about which article I published or what am I teaching, I don't know where. On the other hand, when I, let's say, in LinkedIn, in an academic research community, I will not talk about my vacation in Hawaii, but I will talk about the latest research I published. So also the content of what you're sending, obviously, will be based on what social media or what network you are in. Okay, another thing we talk about in addition to flow is conversations. And conversation is basically just communication between members. And again, a communication will be comments back and forth. There will be like or dislike. There will be you sharing whatever people say. Presence is just the experience consumers have when interacting with a computerized environment. So again, you log in, you have a presence online. But what do you do once you log in is the question. Collective interest, you need commonalities to create bonds among the members. So I want to know why I communicating with the people I am on Facebook. Now maybe they're my relatives, so obviously that's one reason. But maybe their lifestyle is similar to mine. So when you see all those postings of Facebook, this suggested website that they sent you so you could click on it, they're trying to figure out who you are by trying to figure out who are your connections.
Who you like.
And who you like, exactly, and which post you liked. And probably the suggested post I see is not the same suggested post that maybe my relative sees. If the only reason we're together is because we're relatives, but we actually both have totally different lifestyles. Another characteristic of an online community is the fact that it's democracy. What does that mean? It means that we decide, the people, what we like, what we don't like, who we want in the community, who we don't want in the community. We need to accept a friend request, we can eliminate a friend, we can stop looking at someone's Facebook, we can join someone that has not been there. There's also a certain codes of behavior. If someone is starting to post content that we think is offensive, inappropriate, etc., we will eliminate that person from our network. So if someone is in your network, we assume that the way they behave is acceptable on you. Okay, so you also basically behave like that. Obviously participation, again, if a network needs to work, there needs to be some proportion. Like you can go on Facebook, and if nobody's posting anything, then there's nothing to see, there's no action, the community is going to fall. So again, you have to maintain it. and this is one when we talk about maintenance of social media blogs and communities, you always have to provide new information and new things and new communication, because otherwise the network will fall. Crowd power is when companies market with consumers. So this is where I identify the opinion leaders, and I give them, the company gives them either new information, new ads, new products, and hope that they will then spread it through their flows and conversations to the rest of the community. So this is what we call crowd power, because it's a crowd, and the idea is the groups are smarter than the smartest individuals in them, and consumers actually can predict whether products are going to be successful or not. So if I'm giving it to a few, especially like new game, like expo games and so forth, companies a lot of time will give it to those we know are the techie savvy, and the one that blog about it and talk about it, and we let them try it, and we can see based on how quickly it's going to spread in their network whether it's a good idea to launch the product and whether the product is going to be a success. It's actually pretty amazing how predictable it is. A few years ago, I don't know if you guys remember that, Xbox came with a new, maybe whoever is specialized with the Xbox know, but they came with a new product, a new Xbox product, and they actually gave it to a few opinion leaders to try. However, what they also did, which was semi-illegal and definitely not ethical, is that they told them that if they're able to spread it to more than, let's say, 1,000 people per person, they're going to get monetized. So they're going to get financial compensation. Now, this is a no-no, because all of these networks, the social network, are assuming that the reason why you as a consumer recommend something to them is out of your goodwill and because you really like it. Once a compensation comes in, it's the same problem as the source from before. Are you recommending it because you like it, or you recommend it because they're promising you money? Now, it's also illegal because of the fact that in commercials, we know that these people got paid because we know it's a commercial. Here, it's disguised as unsolicited message, and that's illegal. So the company Xbox actually got sued, and I don't know though if they got indicted or not on that. They got sued because they said, if you want to do it, you can, but you have to put a disclaimer. Those people, when they recommend it, have to say, I'm being paid by the company to recommend this product. Okay? And that is something that's just like someone from the company cannot pretend to be a person in your network and say that he loves the product without disclaiming that he actually works for the company. Okay, so that was, speaking of crowd power, that was a big thing at the time. Okay, so we'll just finish with that. So node-to-node relationship, your level of activity is based on the mix of people to whom you connect, the artifacts, meaning the content that you yourself create online, the feedback that you get, and the distribution. If you're high on all of these, you're an opinion leader, you're going to actually get communication from companies. If you're low on this, you have no social value online. Nobody, no marketer will actually try to contact you. Okay, a lot of people today are actually making money from this in the sense that they become very influential. Companies making money in the sense that, first of all, companies give them things for free, but they can also now, again, if they create content on YouTube or so forth, content that enough that Google will agree to pay them because they're showing commercial before you have to access the blog or you have to access the commercials and so forth. Okay, so next time we're going to continue here. We're going to go into why social media strategies are successful or not, and we're going to talk about Yelp.
Thank you.
Can I have the flashback?
Just email to us.
Yep.
It's really useful. It's more useful if I was looking for.
Okay.
Yeah. I'll send you one of the PowerPoint.
One here.
I want a PowerPoint and a write-up.
Is it one PowerPoint?
We didn't change the
Yes,
route.
it's a PowerPoint. The write-up's done.
The PowerPoint, he just wanted you to show like key
Well, I have
exhibits
it on
or
Alan,
whatever your
come
analysis
down.
was. Okay, I'm going down.
Yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
You wanna send me the updated write-up? Copy of the PowerPoint? And then go down first. I was gonna. And